This is a question that I've asked myself a number of times over the years, and other people have asked me too. How do I find clarity on my purpose? My next step? What do I want? What if I don't know what I want? And here's what I want to say. You are not confused. You're afraid. You're listening to Say It Anyway, the podcast for ambitious women done with holding back. I'm your host, Maggie Susu, and here we talk courage, self-trust, and how to live like you mean it, even when it scares the hell out of you. How many times have you told yourself, I don't know, when deep down you do know? Do we tell ourselves, I don't know, I'm confused, I need clarity, but most of the time that's not true. It just feels safer to hide behind confusion than admit what we already know. Because once you admit you know, now you have to act. And that takes courage. So where are you hiding behind confusion right now? Like, what are you pretending not to know? I was the queen of this for so many years, saying, I don't know. I don't know where to go, what to do, what steps to take to start my business, to bring my vision into life. I don't know if this is the right business idea. I don't know what my niche is. I don't know how I help people. So many things that I was saying that I don't know, I don't know. And I had a mentor even told me, you are a black belt who acts like a white belt. That I pretend not to know because the truth is I do know. Whenever I would have discussions with people about what I wanted for myself and what I believed my mission here, my purpose was, who I was here to serve, when I would share that, the feedback I always got was, you sound really clear to me. You sound really articulate. You know exactly what you want. So the thing is, I did know. I always knew. I always knew what was planted in my heart and intuitively that I was meant to be here on the world, in the world, to use my voice. I always had a vision of myself on a stage speaking. And whether that I'm actually physically going to be on a stage or if that is just a symbol for using my voice to share my perspective, to support others, to be a mentor, to be a guide, to be a coach, whatever. I knew deep down I'd written so many journal entries and even done like a lot of marketing material, and business ideas where I always articulated over the years the same person that I was here to serve, the same vision for myself, what I saw myself being like meant to do, what lifestyle I wanted to live. Like I always knew. Here's the thing, like know. And if you're like me, you were just afraid. You're afraid because if you admit that you actually know, then what happens? Well, now you have a choice to make. Which person do you want to be? Are you going to be the person that shrinks down and lives small and looks back at their life when they're 80 and says, man, I know who I could have been and I maybe wasted a lot of my potential and left with regret? Or the person who looks back and goes, I knew what I needed to do. And despite the fear, I freaking did the thing. And I found out what I was made of. And being in that moment of making that choice is really scary because making the choice to actually go for it means leaning into discomfort. It means being willing to be seen, to be judged, to be misunderstood. It means facing your fears and finding out if that's like truly what you are made of. And it means being willing to struggle. And most of us do not want to struggle. I hate to admit that about myself. I don't want to struggle. I wanted things to come easy. I remember I had a coach who told me, I was playing basketball. He's like, you are naturally talented, but you will never ever get to the level that you could be at if you keep riding on natural talent. You actually have to work hard and you actually have to practice, right? And be willing to, what he was telling me is be willing to struggle and put in the reps and put in the work. And most of us say we want that, but really deep down are not willing to do what it takes. And that was me for a really long time. I didn't want to struggle. And truly, I was so, I think, afraid to face the potential truth that if I actually put myself out there, the pain that I would feel of like my old wounds of being, rejected and not accepted and being misunderstood. But all that did was keep me stuck in reliving the same pattern over and over again, the same cycle. I would get, and if you're like me, you're probably someone who's intelligent and driven and and does work hard, right? And invest in themselves. Like I invested in so many programs, almost close to $100,000 in business programs and in personal development programs. But all of that is just a veil that's keeping you safe if you're not actually bringing and integrating what you're learning out into the world and putting it out there. I find that so many times with my clients, they're very smart and they know a lot, but and they're self-aware. But almost it's like a curse. Like you're so self-aware and then you see the ways that you are stuck and then you stay looped in this pattern because now you're frustrated that you should know better and that you should be further along. Yet here you are still feeling the same way. And maybe you're even doing things, little things here and there. You're having spurts where you're posting content or you are having you're going out there and you're getting referrals or you're making sales or whatever it is. Like there's spurts where you're actually doing things, but you're not consistent. And even if you are doing little things here and there, the energy still feels like you are stuck for some reason. And every year you keep saying it's like the same goal over and over again. And with that comes a lot of self beat up and heartache, truly heartache, because deep down what your potential is and what you're really capable of and who you could be. See the confusion, the I don't know, the I don't know what steps to take, that is just a cover. It's so much safer than the risk of taking action. I mean, when have you told yourself, I don't know, when deep down you really did know? How many times have you stayed in confusion just to avoid the risk of being seen? And when you tell yourself that you're confused, you get to stay safe. And in the moment, that's all fine and dandy. Yay. I feel safe. But over time, that builds up. That builds up, that feeling of stuckness, that bitterness, that resentment. And that will turn into regret because deep down, you know enough. You don't need to have 1,000% certainty and clarity to take the next step. What's that one step that you can take right now to lean into what you know deep down? What if it's just like I'm going to record one podcast, even if I don't post it, I'm going to just take the step of being in the action of recording it. Or I'm going to email one person in my network to collaborate with. Or I'm going to claim a domain for my business. Or I'm going to call 2 clients for a referral this week so I can start expanding my roster, my client roster. This isn't about the whole leap. I'm not asking you to eat the entire cake right now. It is about doing one small thing. And that is a symbolic act that proves to yourself, this is what it's about. I can tolerate discomfort. I can choose courage, even in a small way. And I can trust myself enough to take the next step. It's about proving it to yourself and building some momentum and then staying consistent. And the clarity that you want, that it'll come through the action. It's not found in your head. I spent so many years trying to figure it out first. Plan, figure it out, talk to everybody else and get everybody else's ideas on what they think I should do instead of trusting myself and just putting one foot in front of the other and taking the next step. That clarity is found in the moment you choose courage. In the moment where, going back to what I said before, you get to choose who do I get to be? Who am I going to be right now? You will learn as you move, not before. I want to give you guys some practical tools that will support you in taking courageous action and taking that next step. All right. So first thing is going to be creating the I do know list. Okay. I do know. I do know. This is what you're going to start training your brain is I do know. When you stay stuck in that story of I don't know and you keep repeating that to yourself, who are you convincing? Not anybody else outside. You're convincing yourself and you start to build a very strong belief of I don't know. So we're going to knock that down. I do know. We got to retrain the brain. And you're going to ask yourself, if I did know, what would I say? What would I want? And I want to give yourself permission to vision. Most people don't give themselves true permission to vision, right? This vision is so important. This is the foundation of your house. How do you know what steps to take if you don't even know where you're going? Right? We have to have a target. When the vision is unclear, it's so easy to get misaligned. And when you are misaligned, things don't get done. You are not motivated. You feel drained. You are not happy or satisfied, even when you do accomplish a goal, right? You stay stuck. So we want to create a vision. And this vision is going to include, who do I want to become? Who are you becoming in this vision? What does your future self want for you? Is it to be in a loving relationship, to have a family with kids? Is it to have a business where you get to work from home and work with clients? Is it to be a speaker, to get on stages? Is it to have your own lingerie line? Like, what is it? What does your future self want from you? A lot of times our present self is more in limitation. Like our thinking is limited because of what we feel about our current circumstances or our capabilities in the moment or our finances, whatever that is. But thinking about your future self feels more free of the expectations. And so you're asking yourself, what really excites me about this vision? What inspires me about this? And why is this deeply important to me? So important to come back to the why. And you're gonna write down too. How can I remind myself in those moments of avoidance or fear, procrastination? How can I remind myself of this? Of the excitement, the inspiration, and the why it's important to me. Maybe it's a video you film of yourself and you go back and watch it and you hear yourself talking to yourself and your body language, your tonality, all of that comes through and shifts you. Or maybe it's a letter you write to yourself, or maybe it's a reminder on your phone that you set that goes off every day at 12 p.m. noon and it reminds you. You got to be anchored to the vision. And you're going to write all of this down. Free flow. Don't overthink it. You'll be surprised with what actually comes out. What do I want? Now, what's important about all of this is to know the difference between a vision and a goal. What's the difference? The vision is the bigger picture. It's a bit farther out into the future. And a goal is a marker on the journey for the bigger picture. So this is typically something that's within sight. And I'll give you an example here in a second, but also I want you to know the difference between a vision and a strategy. The strategy is going to be the action steps. Okay, so the vision is the guiding light, and the goals and the strategy are what are dictated by the guiding light. Now, if you can't think that far out in your vision, it's okay. Just vision a year or two out. Okay. So, for example, if my vision is to become a public speaker and to be on stage, what's my goal now? That's like the milestone marker on the way there. Maybe it's that I'm going to do a 30-day social media lives challenge. So that's my goal for the next month. And what's the strategy? The strategy is going to be every day at 10 a.m. I film and I post by 12 p.m., for example. So that's going to be the first thing. Okay. The I do know list because you do know. You really do. You know deep down in your heart, if you get really honest with yourself, you know what you want, you know what you're here to do, you know what will make you happy and feel fulfilled. It's just being willing to really have the courage to turn inward, admit it to yourself, and accept that truth. No matter what the fear, the inner critic, whatever the other voices in your head are telling you, you know. Okay. The second thing is going to be to start reframing yourself. Start to switch the question that you ask yourself instead of what's the right choice? What choice would I regret not making? Okay, I want you to start to really consider the cost of inaction. Most people run a lot faster away from their fears than they run towards their goals. And I know this kind of goes against what I just said with your vision, but we need to look at both sides of the coin here. We need to know the vision. We need to be driven by the vision and to really feel that and be emotional with that. But we also need to know what's the cost of inaction, the other side of things. You know, you think about a kid running towards an ice cream truck, right? You know, he's going to be running and he's going to be excited. You know, he can't wait to get to the ice cream. But that kid isn't going to be willing to run across broken glass, shove women and kids aside to get to the ice cream, right? But think about a man running out of a burning building. That person is not going to care what's in front of them, who they have to run over to get out of that building. So we run a lot faster away from things that we don't want than we run towards things. So we need to look at what's the cost of inaction? What choice would I regret making? What would this cost me emotionally? And I look back at my life. Or, you know, what's it going to cost me if I don't actually take the risk and start putting myself out there, getting clients? Like, am I going to be stuck in my 9 to 5 for the rest of my life? Am I going to be bitter and resentful? Is that going to cap my income and then I won't be able to invest in, you know, the experiences that I want to have for my life, or not be able to give my children the things that they really want, that I want to give them? I'm not gonna be able to pay for, you know, invest in my kids' tuition. Am I gonna continue to feel stuck and unfulfilled and look back at my life with regret? So what's the cost of not acting and doing the things? And are you willing to live with that? Or is the risk of acting and moving towards the person that you truly want to be in the life that you really want, would that be worth it? Is that more worth it than the risk of staying in inaction and experiencing that path? Which path are you choosing? Now, the third thing we're going to do is create a courage contract. So you're going to go back to that list of your goals and your strategies, and you're going to pick one strategy, one small action from that list. And you're going to make a contract with yourself. I commit to doing X by Friday at 12 p.m. next week. All right, pick a date. Pick a very specific action. And if it helps, find an accountability buddy. I think that really helps, actually. Find someone who you can say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can you check in with me and make sure next Friday at 12 that I did the thing? A lot of times when we tell someone we're going to do it, we're more likely to stay accountable to it. But the point here is not perfection. It's creating evidence that you act despite fear, despite the story of I don't know, despite the story of I'm confused. So take action this week to prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. See, clarity isn't the problem. Courage is. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need the courage to take the next step. Until next time, no masks, no shrinking, no regrets. You matter. Your life matters. Your voice matters. Hey girl, thanks for tuning in. If this episode hit home, spread the love. Maybe share it with a friend or drop a comment. I'd love to know what landed for you. And remember, your voice matters. Whatever you're holding back, say it anyway.